and gentlemen, to a brand new edition of the Hockey Happy Hour right here on A2DRadio.com. We are brought to you by Specialized Physical Therapy. Listen, man, you never know what life's going to throw at you. You could have some anxiety going on in your life, a lot of stressors, or you could have some physical ailment of some kind that could just leave you just feeling absolutely down in the dumps. Well, all you got to do is go to Dr. Paul Vidal. You can go to Cherry Hill, Princeton, or you can go to, wow, I usually remember that, Burlington. Burlington, Princeton, or Cherry Hill, New Jersey. All right. Well, you whiff on a few of them every now and again. Anyway, Burlington, Cherry Hill, Princeton, New Jersey. That's where you can go to find him. And you can find him on the web at www.specializedphysicaltherapy.com to make an appointment. Dr. Paul Vidal will take care of you. You won't have any more aches and pains, and you will be stress-free, even if it's just for a few days, but it'll be so worth it. SpecializedPhysicalTherapy.com. All right. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we here at the Hockey Happy Hour, Matt Satsuni, along with the Darkwing Brian Daly.
What up?
And the Broken One himself, Rob Povia.
What's up, fam? It's fucking playoff time. Let's go.
Hell yes. Hell yes, it is. And by the way, see if you can find Gritty this week.
Challenge this week, even with the new external webcam that I have. You know, I'm coming through in high def now. I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing with this mug, but either way, you got it.
Like I said earlier, just, sit back. It'll be fine. There you go. There you go. So much better.
Now you can hear me from when I'm leaning back now, too, so that's cool.
Nice. With that, folks, we got a lot to talk about today. The playoffs are beginning. We have the exhibition games going on as we speak. Right now, Columbus and Boston battling it out to see who will win their exhibition contest. Even if it's not necessarily meaning anything in the standings, at least the players get a chance to work the rust off, right? And we will be talking about that, but we'll mostly be talking about the qualifiers and the round robins that'll precede them. Why? Because they are right on the horizon. They start on Saturday, and we are going to see who will be in what position, what seeds will be 1, 2, 3, or 4, and who will win the qualifiers to meet up with those seeds. That will be what we do in this particular show. And then at the end, we're just going to do a quick rundown of the quarters, semis, conference, and Stanley Cup. We're not going to go into detail. Don't need to. Too early to do that. But we're just going to give a quick run-off and see how it plays out. And we'll see when the quarterfinals begin if those hold up. They may not. And by then, we'll have to do a bracket challenge and fill out a bracket. I didn't last time. I boycotted it because, every time I do one, it absolutely gets torched. So I just said, you know what? I resisted the temptation. I'll do it this year. I'll torture myself for everybody. But,
Yeah, they're fun.
Yeah, even when you're wrong.
But first, gentlemen, though, I absolutely love this poll. I want to dive right into the poll question before we kick this party off. And our poll question, in case you don't know, the NHL did the best job in their return to play, agree or disagree. And it's a very hot topic when you compare to what's going on in Major League Baseball. The NBA is kicking off tonight, actually, the restart of the finish of their season to establish seeding for their playoffs down in the bubble in Orlando. And then, NFL will be on the horizon as well as they start inching their way towards, OTAs and the camp. So I'm going to start off. Big fat agree. I think the evidence is that there's been 0 cases positive of COVID-19 since the players have come from their individualized training camps to the respective bubbles in Toronto and Edmonton. I think that it's twofold why it's that way, because you have 2 areas where all the games are being played in a bubble at the hub cities, unlike baseball where there's traveling involved. And I get why they're doing that, but certainly was a wiser idea by the NHL. And picking the 2 hub cities to be in Canada, who, let's just face facts, they've done the best in terms of taking on this pandemic in the whole world.
Oh, absolutely. It's hands down, it's the one thing I liked about it was they literally took it one step at a time and focused on that phase at that time and never really released specific dates. They were always tentative. Like they just released today, the start of the 2021 or 2020-2021 season, tentatively December 4th for the NHL. So they took it a step at a time. They didn't go too far ahead to where they had to back up and push everything back. Maybe a day or two here and there, but coming out of phase 3, everybody in their training camp heading to the bubble, 4,256 tests later, like you just said, Rob, 0 positive returns. So
Yep.
It's a great thing. It's a great thing. Absolutely handled it. And I don't understand why people say Gary Bettman is the worst commissioner in all of sports, because he is not. Rob Manfred is definitely that guy right now.
I might agree with you when you finish that statement. I think Bettman is getting credit for the decisions of a lot of wise people in the NHL. So I don't want to give all the credit to him, but is he doing a better job than Rob Manfred? 1,000%. Because when he says he cares about player safety, he's not full of shit like Rob Manfred is.
Absolutely, and that's a conversation for another day. We'll get into Gary Bettman another night.
Yes.
We got too much to talk about as far as the NHL Stanley Cup playoff qualifiers go.
Absolutely. And to the poll question, I do agree. I think the NHL did handle this a lot better than other leagues did. The only league that, quite frankly, isn't up to judgment right now is the NFL, but we'll see come September how that will hold up. But for now, though, out of every one of them, I mean, just recently the Phillies had to cancel yet another round of games against the Blue Jays. So it's another perfect example of the MLB's been struggling with the COVID issue, and NBA's had their problems. NHL, you don't really hear too much about those issues. So I agree.
Stupid Marlins.
Yeah. Well, you got NBA players.
Everything for everybody.
They always did since 2007, no doubt about it. But yeah, with the NBA, you have too many players frivolously leaving the bubble, and causing problems with having to be quarantined. Like going to a strip club to get chicken wings and saying, "What? I'm just going out to get dinner." Yeah, come on. We could.
Yeah.
You went to a wake and you were having a little fun afterwards. Just call it like it is, but you shouldn't be doing it because you're a professional athlete right now and playing in a pandemic. With baseball, I get it. You have to try to mimic the traveling, the different ballparks or whatnot. That's how baseball works. And it's trial and error, but we covered the misgivings there. NFL is going to be the hardest, boys, because the closest proximity and the heaviest breathing on each other's respective athletes. That's
Absolutely.
Not going on in the bedroom. You know what I mean? So.
It's gonna be tough with the NBA too, because the NBA can get kind of close as well. So we'll see. I mean, there's how can I put this? There's threats everywhere in every sport. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, no doubt.
I think
Absolutely.
The NFL is going to take their time, see what baseball is doing wrong, and see what they can do to avoid the mishaps that's happening right now in Major League Baseball.
Absolutely.
But until then.
Yeah, till then, though. But with that being said, though, time for us to dive in to the postseason. It has officially begun. Well, it will officially begin on Saturday, but it is exciting. The exhibition games are going on right now. The Flyers did have their first exhibition. They downed the Penguins in an OT matchup. Even though it's great to see the Flyers win, we know it doesn't really mean anything, but it's still always good to see them beat Pittsburgh. It's never a bad thing.
Watching that game, if you blindfolded me to where I couldn't see the word exhibition, I wouldn't know it was an exhibition. They were really amping it up to get into game shape or into that playoff mojo. And that's how it came off to me on the screen.
Yeah, you're going to be seeing that in all these games. You're seeing the Boston and Columbus game a little bit more from Columbus, who's up 3-0 right now at the start of the second. But for those who watch Dallas and Nashville, Nashville's in playoff mode. They're ready to go. They pretty much own that entire game. I mean, it wasn't a goal type of game. It was a 2-0 final, but puck possession was easily Nashville's the entire way. And a couple weeks ago, we did a little bit of a breakdown for the qualifiers as well. I think Nashville may have changed my mind on their series.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting how that plays out. I mean, I saw that hit on Janssen. That was a nasty hit that was laid down in that game. I mean, Dallas, you were right, man. Dallas is like, hey guys, we're gonna fuck you up, even though it's an exhibition game, because we feel like it. You know, we don't want to wait till Saturday or whenever the hell we start playing. Anyway,
I mean,
all right.
Dallas's offense showed absolutely no spark whatsoever, but we'll get into that.
Yeah, we'll get into those. So, with that being said, though, let's get going. It's time to dive into, we'll do the round robin seeds first. Won't go into every game, but what we will do is we'll pretty much give you where we think everybody finishes. 1 through 4, both conferences. I guess we'll start out west. Why don't we give that one off? I'll start it off, kicking off the festivities here. My number 1 overall will be the Colorado Avalanche. I think that they, being a young, hungry team, they've been playing so well, and they look good in their exhibition games. So I could see that they'll probably take first. I see St. Louis holding second. I think that St. Louis, they did too. They didn't look bad in their matchup. They looked iffy at times. But, again, it's an exhibition contest. You're working off the rust. I would rather have you play poorly in an exhibition game but have you play better in your first round-robin game. But St. Louis, I think they'll take second. Dallas, I think, moves up to third. And for Vegas, I think they take fourth. That'll be where I have my standings shaking out in the West. What about you guys?
Rob, go ahead.
When it comes, when we did this 2014 tournament back when it was first proposed under different pretenses, not how it wound up working it out, but I was very high on Colorado. I have Colorado representing the Western Conference when it comes down to Stanley Cup Finals, a little foreshadowed towards later in the show. But I have them as my number 2 seed. I think St. Louis is going to defeat the Dallas Stars and the Colorado Avalanche, yet lose to the Vegas Knights and finish with a 2-1 record in the round robin, which will tie the 2-1 that Colorado will post by beating Dallas and Vegas. But as I said, losing to the St. Louis Blues, being both 2-1, it'll go down to their point standing, and St. Louis will get it as the previous number 1 seed. So that's going to work out to exactly how it was, had the standings or the season been completed and the standings were as they were when we paused. I just feel that St. Louis Blues thrive on defense. And as these guys are getting back into game shape, I think good, solid goaltending in any playoff scenario is a successful formula. But especially in this playoffs and having good defenders in front of them, that's what's going to win out at first until these players get their mojo. And, I mean, Colorado's still having a successful round robin with a 2-1 record. You know what I mean? It just falls a little bit short in the tie with St. Louis. Now I have Vegas and Dallas inversely at 1 and 2 tied. So Vegas will be 3 and Dallas will be 4, just as it is as they enter the round robin. Vegas will beat the St. Louis Blues and lose to Colorado and Dallas, while Dallas will beat Vegas and lose to St. Louis and Colorado. Some of this decision-making was based on their overall series record, but, I mean, that seems like eons ago. That was just tiebreakers, honestly.
I got you.
It really was. It really does feel like it was. Well, I mean, it was 4.5 months ago, so.
Yeah, that pause, man. We'll see how that affects everybody.
All right, so real quick before we jump into mine, I'm going to give a shout-out to Mike Trout and his wife, who are apparently on their way to having their baby. Just got the update literally seconds ago. So Mike Trout officially on the paternity list, so I'm going to give a shout-out to him real quick. Hopefully we can get this video to him. Also, I agree. I think we're all in unison here with Colorado. Easily the top seed in the West. Dominated pretty much everybody all year long. I think it's hands down it's Colorado for a number of different reasons.
Yeah,
coaching,
I think
goaltending.
Yeah, they'll represent the West, but I just have them falling short in terms of the tiebreaker for seeding, where St. Louis will hold on to one. But I'm with you, Brian. Colorado is the best team in the West.
And that's what, it's not going to matter what the seedings wind up being because we know who it is and who's not. It's going to be different philosophies going into these games. For me, number 2, I got St. Louis. 3, I got Vegas. I think Vegas, who we haven't seen yet, who plays at 10 o'clock tonight.
Yep.
I think they take third. I think they're playing really well under Peter DeBoer. I think they're really bought into his system as well. A team that just doesn't seem to want to figure out a way to have a losing season in their existence, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. And in fourth, if we're going based off of what I saw today from the Dallas Stars, they will easily finish in fourth. The offense showed absolutely no spunk today. Granted, yeah, exhibition game, but it's a tune-up game. It's a game to get all the rust off, and the Dallas team is a better team than Nashville, and to get shut out, to me, it's saying a little something about that offense. I know I picked them earlier in a couple different brackets we did to wind up as a Stanley Cup contender, but based off of everything I saw today, Dallas is easily going to be the 4th seed.
If you looked at the point standings, they were actually underneath Edmonton, but they get awarded the 4th seed because I believe they played 2 less games than Edmonton. I think Edmonton played 71 to the Stars 69. So, yeah, even though they were lower in points, it was the percentage that put them ahead. And I don't think they're a better team than the Edmonton Oilers. I mean, they might have a little bit more success in this year's playoffs because, Edmonton, that's what they do. Let's call it like it is. But I do think overall talent-wise, Edmonton's a stronger team. So, yeah, they're going to be 4th, I think, in any scenario.
Yeah, like I said, the offense showed no spark whatsoever. Defense looked all right. Ben Bishop looked okay in the first half of the game. And then, Hudobin came in and pretty much shut the door on Nashville. But Nashville had to jump from the get-go. They seemed like they played the full 60 minutes. I didn't see the full 60 minutes out of Dallas. They didn't really create any good scoring chances. Nashville created a bunch. It could have easily been more of a 2-0 game, but like I said, Ben Bishop and Anton Hudobin both played pretty well in net. Defense played pretty well in front of them. Offense was just not there. And it's going to happen, but if they want to get anywhere after the round robin, they're going to have to wake up. And they're going to have to wake up fast.
Yeah, dust off that rust, no doubt.
Yeah.
All right, so we have our West round robin seeds taken care of, and now we come all the way to this side of the States. We go to the East, or this side of Canada because it'll be in Toronto. But here in the standings, I have at number 1, I actually think Tampa Bay will probably be number 1 seed. At number 2, I actually have the Flyers taking 2. 3, I'm going to put Boston. And 4, I'm going to put Washington. Washington, I actually, honest to God, I could believe Washington could actually lose all 3 of their games. In all honesty, I think it's very possible. They may lose 1 in OT, but I think they could still lose all 3. Conceivably, I think so. When I look at them, they're the weakest one out of the 4 of them. Arguable that they could have been replaced.
I mean, yeah. Go ahead, Rob.
I was just going to say, I'm with you 100%, Maddie. I'll get into mine just so Brian doesn't lose his point. But I did wind up giving Caps 1 victory over the Lightning as they were 3-0-1 against them during the regular season. So I gave him that one as a gimme.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, I'll run. I don't even really need to quickly run through mine because me and Maddie are on the same page.
Nice.
Tampa, Philly, Boston, Washington. But if, from what we're seeing from Boston, it's another, they don't really seem to have a jump tonight against Columbus. Columbus had all the jump.
Yeah, up
early
3-0.
Up 3-0 halfway through the second. It's just, I'm curious to how serious some of these guys are going to be taking these round robin games. So, that's a big question. I think once we see round 1 start, I think we'll see some teams turn it on. But, I think for right now, unless you're a 5-12 seed, you're going to be taking these as tune-up games, getting all the rust off, working out the kinks, seeing what line combinations are going to work, what defensive pairings are going to work, who's going to be – like a situation with Nashville. Who's going to be your starting goalie? Are you going to rock with Pecorine? Or is I'm blanking on his name because there's too many vowels in his name, but or you're gonna start the other guy who's played 40 games this year and has posted goals against under 3. Who do you start? I think and that's what I think this round robin is going to be for these top seeds is they're going to take it as preseason games and try and work out the kinks and get ready to get going on August 11th.
Okay, then. So, with that being said, Who do we got in the standings for you, Rob?
Get that to a second. I'm curious now who Brian's talking about right now. You're talking backup
okay.
goalie. Oh, Soros. Yeah. There's going to be a lot of decisions in this year's playoffs. I mean, the Pittsburgh Penguins have a huge decision. And I think it's going to, unlike the last time they won the Cup where they had two good goaltenders in Fleury and Matt Murray, this year I don't think it's going to work. I don't think they're going to know which hand to go with because if we, from the exhibition game, both of them were playing quite well. And when you have two good goalies, you have none. It's just how it works out.
It's funny.
Go, man.
Okay, thanks. I was going to say, when the announcers brought up, the two goaltenders for Pittsburgh, they even said, okay, one has the cups, but the other one played better. So during the regular season. Now, again, though, we have to put an asterisk next to that because we've had this long pause. So it's just okay, is Jari going to be as good as he was during the regular season? Because Murray was injured during most of that time period. So, and that was one thing that also got brought up. It's his injuries did hamper his performance. Will that continue to hamper his performance? Or did this pause help him recover fully and now he's ready to get back to form? That's really like you were saying, Rob, it's a big question mark right now with Pittsburgh in terms of their goaltending.
Yeah, it is. It's huge. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of my whole point to this is this is kind of where it benefits being a top seed for this whole playoff format they have set up here. Because, like I said, if you're a top 4 seed, you can treat these games as preseason games and work out the kinks. If you're a 5-12, you got to figure it out in these exhibition game, and got to get going as fast as you possibly can because otherwise you're going to be heading home fighting for that number 1 overall pick. Although some of these teams, I'm sure that's their intent.
Yeah, that is true. What?
For sure. Well, I'll go to my East ranks, boys. And Brian, I wanted to ask you quick before I start. You went Tampa, Boston, Philly, or you went Tampa, Philly, Boston?
Tampa, Philly, Boston.
Oh, you did? Oh, okay. I misheard you then. Yeah, all three of us are on the same page. I had it working out exactly as the seeding, going into the round robin in the West. And the East is going to see shifting, and you're going to see the team that would have won the President's Trophy be your number 3 seed and face, a stiffer round competition in, their opening round of the NHL playoffs once the qualifiers are completed. And that's really the big difference. And, having that 4th game to have last change because no really home ice advantage with fan base at this time. But, yeah, I got Tampa 1, Philly 2, Boston Bruins 3, Washington 4. Tampa and Philly are going to tie with 2-1 records. Flyers, I feel, are going to beat Washington. They own them all regular season. They match up very well against them. Boston, they've played tighter. They had a good game. We had a good game. Then there was that tight 2-0, Brian, the game that you were at shortly before the pause?
Against Boston, yeah, it was a 2-0 loss to Boston.
Yeah. Totally tight game. Could have went either way. So 2 evenly matched teams. I give it to the Flyers based on what we're seeing tonight in the exhibition and the low lack of effort from the Boston Bruins in terms of their serious factor. But I believe the Flyers are going to lose to Tampa Bay Lightning. Just as we own Washington, Tampa Bay owned us. I believe it was 2-0-1, if not 2-0-0. Let me check that really quickly because I have access to it. Philly was... Yeah, 2-0-1. Tampa Bay was. So yeah, they did have that one overtime loss. But yeah, so that works out to be your number 1 and 2 seeds. Boston's going to beat Washington, but lose to Tampa Bay and the Flyers. And as I alluded to before, I gave a gimme game to Washington beating Tampa, and they'll lose to Boston and Philly to finish in the number 4 seed. So your Philadelphia Flyers, number 2. Sitting pretty and avoiding the Pittsburgh Penguins when they defeat the Montreal Canadiens. Peace out, Cub Scouts.
All right.
I will say this real quick about that Boston Flyers game back in, I don't want to say it was February. Wow, have I never seen such a great goaltending performance by anybody live like I saw from Tuukka Rask that night. It could have very easily been a Flyers victory. Flyers defensively were playing tight. They played Boston really well. a couple will play shots. Led the goals, unfortunately, for Philly. But, Tuukka Rask was the X factor in that entire game. I can't tell you how many chances that they had. And Tuukka Rask just had an answer for everything. It was just amazing. So, I've always been huge on Tuukka, but, my respect factor for him went way up after that game.
Yeah, man. Tuukka, man. That's all you can say. That is all you can say about Rask. All right. So, with that, Rob's little preview of Montreal and Pittsburgh, I'm going to segue that into our qualifiers. Obviously, anybody who's been keeping up with the NHL knows that whoever wins these qualifying matchups, they are then due to face off with a predetermined seed, depending upon who will be there. We'll find out where that shakes out to in our predictions here. Frank saying, wow, what a great segue. But on to the qualifying matchups here. And we go to the West. All right, so at 5-12, we have the Edmonton Oilers, led by Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, backed up by Mike Smith, going up against Chicago, led by Patrick Kane, Jonathan Taves, and maybe Corey Crawford if he decides to show up. We'll see.
We'll see. He's usually a good playoff guy. I mean, he's done a lot where he's, shown up in the playoffs, so we'll see what happens.
That is true. That is true. So, with that, Edmonton versus Chicago. I do have Edmonton winning this qualifier. I do think Chicago does get a game, but I do think Edmonton wins at 3-1.
I mean, I think Edmonton, hands down, wins this game. I do think it's going to be a very offensive series because you got a lot of talent on both sides. Unfortunately, they're going to be missing some grit not having Andrew Shaw, who's still healing from concussions, who probably won't be seeing time until next year. So that's going to hurt a little bit. But, guys like Kirby Dodger stepping up. Dominic, I don't even know how to say his last name. He's another rookie. He's up for the Calder Trophy. He's really stepped up huge since he's had time here up in Chicago. And it's going to make for an interesting series. I think it winds up going 5 because I'm not sold on Edmonton's defense, and I'm definitely not sold on Mike Smith. I do like Corey Crawford. He has shown up most times in the playoffs. And the defense in Chicago is not really all that bad. They're aging, but there's leadership, there's experience there. So, it plays a huge factor going forward. But I think it's I think they go to full 5. But I do think Edmonton does squeak that last win in Game 5. And Edmonton does take that series.
All right, then. So with that, we both have Edmonton going on. Rob, who do you got in that Edmonton-Chicago battle?
Well, geez, I thought we were going to Pittsburgh-Montreal, which I had to prepare myself with another beer. But if we're talking Edmonton and Chicago, I threw some shade on the Oilers, but the talent level and the youth is totally on their side. Chicago, as good as their top 2 are, I'm not sure about their secondary pieces. Their defense is older. Their goaltending has always been garbage, in my opinion, despite luck. I think Edmonton may even sweep this. If not, maybe Chicago takes one game where your boy Keener gets a hat trick or something there. B-Dales.
Keener.
It wouldn't be out of the realm of possibilities. Now, the real question is, since the qualifiers don't count as playoffs, if Kane was to get that hat trick, would it count as a playoff hat trick or a regular season hat trick?
Ooh. I think it'd be playoff hat trick.
Okay, that'd be interesting.
I think you'd have to, but that's a great question, Matty.
Yeah. Hence why the NHL should have just said it's the playoffs. But anyway, Vespi picks Edmonton on this battle here. Moving on.
Real quick, we have any comments coming in on people picking anything?
Curious
about that. We haven't seen any comments yet.
Vespi needs to get like the Vespi Vegas picks going. That double V would work well, dude. That's great marketing right there. Free of charge. Free of
Brian
charge,
Wilson.
Frank.
Yeah, Brian Wilson does Willie Vegas when he does his picks.
Bold prediction, Rosca. Let's see if it works out for him.
Hey, Prism, what's up, buddy? Saying Dallas was
that's a
without
great point.
Sagan. Yeah.
That's a great point.
And
well, I mean,
Ross,
I will say this to his comment because he did say losing 2-0 is better than losing 5-0. Anytime you get shut out, it's not a good thing. You know that, brother.
Yeah.
Sky Bro saying hello from Arizona. What's up, man?
What's up, Sky?
So my following
good luck here, Coyotes.
Yeah. The Coyotes in the playoffs.
Which is perfect segue.
Yes, because that is
talking about next.
That is who we are talking about next. Yes, wow, great segue. And we go to that matchup, 6-11, the Nashville Preds battling the Arizona Coyotes. This is an interesting contest because in a normal circumstance, people would easily pick Nashville. However, though, the possibilities here for Arizona to win because, to be fair, Nashville, they've been relying on Rene at times, and Rene hasn't exactly been as good as he used to be back in the day. But with all that being said, I still think Nashville takes this, but they take it in 5. This is actually a very close series, in my opinion, between the two battles. But my big question mark with Arizona is and anti-Runta on top of that, but also is the offense going to be producing like they should be? Like you said last week on the show, Bri, or was it 2 weeks ago? Taylor Hall hasn't exactly panned out very well in Arizona. Phil Kessel hasn't exactly stepped up either. So it's like you kind of need offense too. You can't just rely on your defense, you know? It's interesting.
If I recall, Arizona got on a really nice streak to start off the regular season, correct?
They did.
And I think we see that again here in these qualifiers because of those players that you mentioned classically get off the hot starts and then fade away. Phil Kessel's been known to do that in his career. Taylor Hall's been known to do that in his career. So I agree. I don't think this is the slam dunk that a lot of people were thinking of maybe when these brackets were first formulated, seeing Nashville versus Arizona. And I think I even had that scenario working into a sweet Nashville side. Now I'm thinking Arizona. I'm going Arizona upset. Arizona upset over Nashville because their offense is fucking shit. And you don't have Lobby anymore.
Hey, listen, I'm not. Yeah, John Hines is not exactly, the coach that sets the world on fire. Just ask.
Correct.
Just ask the New Jersey Devils. Oh, good, it's my turn to pick in my dynasty league. So Nashville and Arizona. I have Nashville winning it. I do. I think their goaltending is going to be a big factor in why they win, because if you don't have Pekka Rinne, you have another dude who's been playing lights out in net all season long. Nashville's defense is also, I think, a lot better than Arizona's. But for Arizona, in order for them to even compete in this series, they need guys like Taylor Hall and Phil Kessel, especially Phil Kessel, to step up, because Kessel's won cups. He's won multiple cups in this league, and he needs his leadership to really shine through here, because he's playing with not just a young team, a young, inexperienced team in this kind of situation. So he really needs to step up and be the leader they expected him to be. I don't necessarily say he's got to show up on the score sheet every day, but he's got to keep these young guys calm, cool, collected, and just worry about one shift at a time and not worrying about what's happening 5 minutes ago, 5 minutes from now, but I think it goes to 5 games, but I do think Nashville wins it. I think the whole experience of that Nashville team is going to be what carries Nashville over Arizona, but I think it's going to be a better series than most people expect.
And with that, Vegas Vespi, picking the Nashville Predators to win this series. So we've got an Arizona upset on Rob's side. We've got 3 Nashville votes. And we move forward to our next battle.
Time out real quick. Rob, I need your advice.
Go.
Oh, boy.
I'm in round 8. I don't know who I'm picking. I'm between Robert Woods, Jalen Reagor, and Will Fuller.
What are the players again?
Robert Woods, Jalen Reagor, Will Fuller.
No, Will Fuller. No, he can't stay healthy, and he's way too brittle, and he'll get more looks with Hopkins gone, but he's not going to see him when he's not on the field. Nah, not Reagor either. Your team need his wide receiver?
At the moment, that's what I'm looking at. I got it back-to-back here.
Is Christian Kirk available?
No, he was just taken earlier in the round.
Mm-hmm. That would have been my target here in this round.
He was absolutely my target.
Rosca is picking Arizona to sweep the Nashville Predators.
Keep dreaming, bro.
I'll get back to you on that. I'm going to think about this. I'll get you a better pick, but I'll let you know offline.
Sounds good, brother.
Prism chiming in saying, I had Nashville last time and I was alone.
Well, like I said, I watched the game against Dallas today, and they looked pretty on point. They're ready for their first round matchup against Arizona.
Yeah, and also, by the way, folks, the jerseys that I have up here, make note of this Phoenix one. This may not be up here for very long. I may take this one down very early if they lose their qualifying round. So, unfortunately for the Caps one, that one's staying up for a little while. All right, let's see here.
Wait, Rivers is in Indy now, right?
Yes.
T.Y. Hilton it is.
You could go T.Y. I was gonna say T.Y. or even the rookie Pittman too. If T.Y. is available, you got to grab him over Pittman. But Pittman's nice too there. PPR league?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure yet.
You're drafting and you don't know if it's a PPR league? I got worries about you, man. We used to do a show together. Come on.
Yeah, I used to be so much better at this.
You can check that out anytime you guys want to. You can check that anytime you want to at Fantasy Dominance Now, back in the day in the A2D Vault.
Yes.
Well, unfortunately, it's going to do you no good now because most of those players probably aren't playing right now.
It's all right, though. It's all right. There was enough shenanigans on the show, though, to keep people entertained. Let's see here. Oh, and a live scoring update. David Pastrnak is playing for Boston, and he did score. So 3-1 right now the score is.
I love him.
Not that it's crazy, but still, big goal for there. At least Boston got something out of it, right?
Oh, Pierre-Luc Dupuis. Oh, that's the crossbar and a pretty backhand.
All right, then. On to our next matchup now. Continuing our qualifiers, we have at number 7 and 10, we have the Vancouver Canucks, the young, hungry bunch that they are, going up against the Minnesota Wild, a team that's had a kind of year, I think is the best way to put them. Lots of changes in Minnesota, to say the least. I think that'll probably affect them in this qualifier, and I decided to go a little crazy here. I actually see Vancouver making a statement. I think they sweep the series. I think they go 3-0, and I think they roll into the first round with a big message sent that we're not here to fluke. This isn't a one-off. We're here to be legit right now. Whereas Cathedral Craig is saying, all joking aside, I'm going with Nash in a sweep on that Arizona-Nashville series.
What's up, Craig? How you feeling, brother?
It could go that way, man, but I don't want to disrespect Tocchet that way. Come on. Philly love.
You'll get the Philly love from Kirk, man. Loves the Flyers.
That's right.
Vancouver, Minnesota. I love Vancouver. I think they're headed in such a great direction. I love the mix of young, and I can't even throw an expression on talent enough to really cover these young bucks that they have in Vancouver right now, like Elias Pettersson.
Correction.
Quinn Hughes.
I was going to say correction. Not bucks. Studs. They're studs.
They are
bucks
studs.
of youth.
They are studs. Vancouver is quickly climbing up. I called them a playoff contender at the beginning of the year, and I'm still standing by it. Do I think they sweep Minnesota? No. because they're still a pretty solid defensive team. But I do have Vancouver winning the series, and I think they take it. Let's say 3-1.
All right, then.
Yo, Brian, did you pick already?
Just did.
You did? Was A.J. Brown available still?
No.
Oh, yeah, I figured he was gone.
Yeah, I took T.Y. At 8.5 and 8.6. I took A.J. Dillon.
That's not bad. Yeah. That probably around that level then would have been like Devontae Parker or Tyler Boyd, and I'll take T.Y. out of those three.
Both gone.
Wow. Okay, then. Okay. People were just avoiding T.Y. because he's brittle too.
He is kind of brittle. But I also got who else do I got? I got
like hockey.
Everything's all jumbled up. Kenny Galladay and Michael Thomas too. So.
Ooh. Oh, that's nice wide receiver core. All right, hockey. Right.
Yeah. By the way, Prism does agree with you, Bri. He believes Vancouver in 4. Can we bring up Craig's one more time?
He's a smart man.
And he laughed out loud. I love talk. I just can't imagine Arizona winning. Maybe they steal a game, but I'd be shocked if Zona pulled out the series win.
The F is who's got a train running through their backyard?
That would be me because I live right near railroad tracks. So every once in a while, the choo-choo comes around.
Oh, that's quite literal then.
I thought Nashville just scored again against Boston. That's what I thought it was.
I thought somebody Rob, I thought you were playing like something on your phone that was like a goal horn.
Yeah.
No, it is 100%. That's real life sound effects right there, folks. Recorded now for your listening pleasure.
Yeah, I mean, Kirk, dude, for real, bro. Arizona's probably not going to win that series, but yeah, I think they stay in it. They'll steal a game or two.
Come on, ride the train. Oh my God!
Frank's not allowed to produce for us anymore.
Oh, come on! You don't love his insight? He's got great insight with his picks.
His insight's fine. It's his corny dad jokes.
That should be a
love
show.
You, Frank. I really do. I do love you.
Frank, you need to write a book. You need to write the 1,000 greatest dad jokes. Make it happen. And then read it on the air. All 1,000 of them on the fix. Anyway, moving on. Next up, Pove. What you got in this Vancouver-Minnesota battle?
Man, I took a gamble with Arizona. I got to be safe here. It's Vancouver. I mean, Minnesota does have some pieces. Not enough good goaltending, not enough qualifiable scoring. Vancouver, again, was a team that got off to a hot start and faded towards the end of or before the pause of the regular season. So I think we see that again, too. But there's been, with a little disturbance with the unhappiness of Brock Boeser. How does that affect Vancouver? That's my only question.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to play a factor, but he wants to be there, and Vancouver's GM has already shut down any, trade talk. So we know he's hopefully staying in Vancouver. His biggest issue is the fact that he's not on the first line right now. So, I mean, hopefully he puts that aside, rocks out on the second line, and gets Vancouver a win.
Yeah. So he should love it because your number one line is always going to face the toughest defense on the other side. I think the second line is a better spot in terms of goal scoring proliferation in this playoffs.
Yeah, no, that's true. Oh, Darius Slayton was still available?
So, Rob, you've got...
That would have been my pick, yeah. Yo.
So you got Vancouver winning the series. How long? You going 4 games? I got you. All right, then. So, in 4, Vancouver with the win. Viva Las Vespi picks Vancouver.
I like that. It's different.
That's better. That's good. That's
Please
a lot
tell
of
me,
B's.
Yeah. Please tell me that's your fantasy team. Please tell me. That should be his fantasy team. But anyway, all right. So, with that, Vancouver moving on all across the board. By the way, guys, real quick, since we did talk about Arizona, I forgot to mention this. John Chaika left right before they even got into the postseason. He resigned due to another job offer. We don't even know what the job offer is. And apparently Arizona's ownership came out and said he quit on the team, he quit on the fans, and then he noted as saying, greatest fans in the world. And then Chaika responds, he didn't get into details, but he said ownership made it impossible for him to stay. What is going on over there in Arizona? This is, I saw a guy on YouTube say this is such a Coyotes thing to happen right before the playoffs, and he's right. This is such a Coyotes thing to happen right before a postseason run.
Yo, what's up, Trevor?
Hey, Trev.
Joe, what's going on, brother?
He's saying, also, I wouldn't be surprised if Chicago beats Edmonton. Interesting. And he's saying New York Rangers are an underdog against Carolina. I'm all over that line.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll get into that one in a few minutes here.
Yes.
That's a series I'm very much looking forward to.
But yeah, you got a good quality hockey man, Steve Sullivan, taking over as interim though. So I think they'll be all right for the short term. But yeah, things are rotten in Denmark. I'm rethinking that upset pick now by me. But I'm not going to be a flip flopper. I'll stick to my initial statement.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I kind of feel bad for that fan base. It's not an organization that's doing terrible. It's just I feel like they just have an organization of underachieving front office personnel.
Right.
People who are there just to be there, just because it's a job. Whatever.
Yeah, they do match up well, Pris.
Yeah, Prism did say Chicago did whip the Blues' ass. True, they did do that. By the way, can we get back up Craigson? Because I believe he picked Vancouver in 5. Yes, he did. Vancouver in 5. Minnesota will shock everyone by fighting hard, but they'll fall in the end. Okay. He has that going to full run.
I mean, I don't necessarily disagree with that. I mean, that's one more game than I got them going in. And, I'm not against Minnesota. It's got a decent offense. They got a solid defense. I'm not about their coach. I'm not about their system. I'm not about their goaltender. Devin Dubnyk is a flash in the pan.
Right. I agree with you there. I didn't agree with you when you first started saying it, but I started watching him more, Brian, and his mechanics are off. He doesn't have the good mechanics like Carter Hart has, like leading with his head. You even saw it the other day when he was, in the motions in the stands before their exhibition game against Pittsburgh. He's got poor mechanics, and it gets exposed at times. But to Cathedral Ken's point there, he is right. They do have a lot of fight. They have a lot of tenacity, a lot of blue collar guys that won't just lay down and take defeats. Sure. No,
absolutely. Agreed. That's why it's going to 4 or 5 games. Absolutely. It's going to be a deep series.
Right.
All right, then. So on to 8 and 9. Calgary and Winnipeg for our final qualifying matchup. Calgary has had a very hectic season, to say the least. Hectic on the ice and off the ice. Bryce Blackwell saying Flyers, baby. Hell yeah, man. Getting a big win against the Penguins. Love it.
I haven't seen Bryce chime in a long time. What's going on, Bryce?
It is great to see him. Trevor saying Winnipeg in that matchup between Calgary and Winnipeg there. And Bryce saying it'll be a good playoff. It will be. Yeah, it will definitely be a good playoff. Absolutely. Oh, and by the way, the arenas look absolutely freaking fantastic in both Edmonton and Toronto. They are gorgeous.
Yeah, he did a good job setting them up. It's about what I expected. I knew it wasn't going to be team logos in the center ice. I figured it was either going to be an NHL logo, which I think I said last week or the week before. Wound up being a Stanley Cup in the middle. Works for me. It looks great. It's awesome. Let's go. I'm ready.
Yeah.
August 11th, baby.
Absolutely. But on to this matchup here. I have Winnipeg actually beating Calgary. I think Calgary's season has been one of let's forget that ever happened and move on. I don't know if anything really changes here. Yeah, they got a new coach. Yeah, they weren't playing too bad, but still at the end of the day, I don't see them being Winnipeg. I think Winnipeg has played consistently better as the season's gone along, and I think that'll carry through here. And I think they'll win 3-2 in the series. I think it will go full 5. I think Calgary will fight, but I don't think it'll be enough to get them through Winnipeg.
Rob, you want to go?
Sure. I'll be short and sweet. Jets, Jets.
That is short and sweet. You weren't kidding.
Like it.
They're just a better team. They're a better team. I think Calgary's got more the flashier stars. Sean Monahan, Johnny Gaudreau. But these are guys that, let's face facts, are underperforming their talent level. Mm-hmm. I mean, Sean Monahan a little less than Gaudreau, but certainly Gaudreau. And I don't like the coaching staff, despite a strong GM. They had problems there, obviously. They corrected them, but still that's a sticky situation. And Winnipeg, is just a hungrier team. Mark Scheifele, is one of the, I think underappreciated stars in this league, along with Slavin on the Hurricanes. Two guys that are just doing their job day in and day out. And I think Jets move on. I think I won't be quite handily. It'll go back and forth a little bit. I think that game's a 4-gamer as well. 3-1 in the Jets' favor.
All right, then.
I'm with the consensus here. I think Winnipeg does wind up winning that series. But I do have it going 5 games. And I think there's one factor we're leaving out here. And I definitely left it out a couple weeks ago when it was just me and Maddie doing this. We're forgetting about Matthew Tkachuk. Yeah, he's a pain in the ass. Yeah, he's one of those guys that, nobody likes. But keep in mind, he's a guy who's going to put up 70, 80 points for you. Meanwhile, he's got that gritty game going too, so he's going to get under people's skin. He's going to have guys taking stupid penalties, emotional penalties, undisciplined penalties, but at the same time, he's going to light the lamp. But to Rob's point, I wasn't a big fan of Bill Peters. Fired him, got him out, and now Calgary. I thought Calgary was going to skyrocket, but no. Johnny Gaudreau's underachieving. Mark Giordano's underachieving. Sean Monahan's another guy. Matthew Backlund's another guy who's been underachieving as well. It's a very talented team in Calgary, but they just can't seem to find a way to put it together. With Winnipeg, Winnipeg is putting it together, and you got great leaders on that team in Mark Scheifele and Blake Wheeler, and that's something that should not be taken lightly. Patrick Laine, he's a guy you haven't heard much of this year because he's working on another aspect of the game that kind of gone a little under the radar. He's working on passing more, and I think that's going to create a little deception in this series, and I think in the long run it's going to wind up leading to a Winnipeg victory. And it's also going to come down to goaltending too. David Richett or Connor Hellebuck. I'm going to take Connor Hellebuck all day. So absolutely. I got Winnipeg winning in 5.
All right, then. So we got the Jets all the way around. Prism saying Jets in 5, although I like how scrappy Calgary can be. Yeah. They can be. And Cathedral Craig saying, I'm going to go against the grain here. I'm taking Calgary in 5. Fuck. I can't take that back.
That's how I felt about Arizona.
No, you can't, brother.
That's how I felt about Arizona. But, you make good points there, Brian. I think with Laine, too, not only is that going to benefit the team, that's what's going to carry him into absolute superstar. And I feel that Patrick Laine in 5 years is going to be the best player in the NHL.
I agree. And it's not only just
or sooner.
It's rounding his game off. He's not going to be just that one-dimensional sniper who's going to come at you, score 45 goals a year, and put up maybe 30 assists. He's going to be the guy could possibly, at some point, when he gets better at it and his vision continues to get better, he's going to put up 80, 90 points a year, maybe even 100 points a year. You see guys like Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, just two guys off the top of my head because they're the 2 leading goal scorers. Not goal scorers, point scorers.
Point scorers, yeah.
Over 100 points. Why? Because not only can they score, but they can dish it as well, and that's something Laine's working on.
And you see them having a good plus-minus and being defensively responsible. Now, that's something not to expect from Laine at this point in his career, but he has the speed, and he does have the backward skating ability that he adds that to the repertoire, and it's game over.
Yeah, absolutely. And the funny part is, wasn't Laine a third pick? He wasn't. I don't think he was he wasn't even a first overall. I think he was a third, wasn't he?
Second.
second. But it's crazy to think about. It's like, who knew? He should have been the first overall. It's kind of funny when you go through history, who should have been the first overall and who shouldn't have been. But anyway, moving forward, Viva Las Vespi picking, go back to Toronto. I'm from Winnipeg, you idiot. Give me the Jets. Okay. Oh, Jericho. Okay, I know what he's quoting. Fan said to Jericho one time, go back to Toronto, and he yelled back at him, I'm from Winnipeg, you idiot.
Oh, I remember that.
Okay. Yep, I see what he was doing there. All right.
Well, Maddie, of course he's going to go to your man crush Austin Matthews, who you selected in our 8 to 10 year draft. You know what I mean? I think that's a natural there. But will he be better down the road than Austin Matthews? I think so.
I mean, we'll see on that. I mean, Austin Matthews hasn't really slowed down as much, but Lane's also working around his game off a little bit, and that's something that Austin Matthews doesn't really need to do because he's a disher as well. He's another guy that's going to give you 80, 90 points a year.
Yeah,
true. Let's go back to Cathedral Clegg real quick there on his comment saying, "Oi, I really can't see Lonnie being the best player in the NHL. Maybe I'm wrong, but I just can't see it." And then Trev was saying that he was a number 2 to confirm what Brian and Rob were saying. And
he said it in Spanish too.
Yes, he did.
See.
And we go to the East now for our qualifiers. As we did round out our West, we'll take a look at our first rounds a little bit later on when we rattle off what we have playing out. But on to the Eastern side of the board here in the qualifiers. Should we save Pittsburgh for last, or should we go to them first?
First, let's rip it off like a Band-Aid.
All right, then. The Pittsburgh Penguins and the Montreal Canadiens. Many would call this the most one-sided series in the playoffs, and they wouldn't be wrong. But I will see I will concede this. I think Carey Price does snag a game for him. However, though, that's all he does. And I think Pittsburgh does win this 3-1.
Oh, I waited too long to take a quarterback.
And Trevor Harris saying Pittsburgh in 3, going sweep. Which
they were going sweeping.
I don't think it's a sweep. I think Montreal does wind up scrapping a game out of this series, and I think it's like we were just saying before we really got into this. Who you getting out of the Pittsburgh goaltending, and that's going to play a huge factor. We know offensively where they are. We know defensively where they are. They're a good team. They're a very solid team. Cup contenders still in my eyes. But they need to figure out the goaltending situation. Jari's been good all year. Matt Murray, it's been shaky. Who you starting? You starting the guy that's gotten you 2 cups, who's had the shaky season, or you're going to go with the guy with little experience, but it's had the better season? I don't think this is really the time that you really should really play that platoon game because it could result in something a little bit bad because believe it or not, Montreal has some guys who can score, and having Max Domi back in that lineup, who has said he is going to play, makes him that much more dangerous. And I know not a lot of people are big on Max Domi, but he's a leader in that locker room. He's a good player on the ice. He's a good disher. He can score. He's a 50, 60-point guy, so he can do the damage. So, to me, if they go Tristan Jarry, they can win it in 4. If they go Matt Murray, it's going 5.
All right, then.
Pittsburgh wins either way.
We had Trevor saying you go with Jarry hot hand. Craig was saying Pitt in 4. So was Prism. Chris Pronger's best friend in the whole wide world, by the way. Moving on. Next, and Prism then saying, I had Pitt in 4 last time and I was alone. Y'all are learning from the Cathedral of Prism. Soak it in,
Soak it in, man.
Oh, that's fucking
nice,
great.
Jericho. Nice.
You got to love Prism. He's freaking great. And Viva Las Vespi picks Pittsburgh Shutters. And we move on. Next up, Rob, what you got in this Penguin Montreal bash?
If Montreal would have any chance in this series, it would be Carey Price playing like Carey Price. In the exhibition game, 19 saves on 23 shots is not Carey Price. It's a Pittsburgh sweep.
Okay, then. And Trev, is Duran playing? I do believe he is playing.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about him not playing. As far as I know, he's in the lineup.
He's playing. Braden Point's playing. Braden Point played very well in their exhibition game yesterday. He's fucking scary. And Stamkos was back for the first time with the team during this process. So Tampa, very scary.
Yeah, he's a G, Kirk.
Craig's saying Prism is a G. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Okay, on to the 6 and 11 contest. We have the Carolina Hurricanes, who have had pretty much saved by the pause. They were not trending in the right direction later in the season. They were really struggling there. Yes, they did have their goaltending injury problems, but even after, they were still having issues. Luckily, the pause happened. They got a chance to recover after all of that. Now they're ready to face off against the New York Rangers, who were trending in the right direction come the pause. So you got two teams who were going in opposite directions the moment that pause happened. What do you think what do you think the pause effect? What kind of effect do you think it'll have in this qualifying matchup? Because it really will affect these teams. I think, in my opinion, you have a young Rangers team. There's experience in Trouba and Panarin, but at the same time, there's inexperience with a lot of the youth in D'Angelo, Fox, the goaltending, with the exception of Lundqvist. So it's one of those, what do you do? And Trevor saying Rangers in 4 with Igor in net. That's another question mark, by the way. Who do the Rangers go with in goal? Because they have two capable young goaltenders, but you do have Lundqvist available as well because you do have unlimited goalies. So that's a question mark, too, when you think about it.
You know, when we talked about this before, I was 100% with Trevor that it was going to be Igor. No doubt about it. He's your young stud puppy. Ride him into the playoffs just like the Flyers are doing with Carter Hart. But to your point, Joe, I forget whether it was Maddie or Brian last week. I believe it was you, Maddie. They're going with King Henrique. Yep, it was Brian. Okay.
It was Brian. Yeah, it was Brian.
I was right on the point, wrong on who said it. Okay, gotcha. King Henrique, they're gonna give him one last ride into the sunset, and at the very least, it either A, gives him that last ride and he retires, or B, it shows his worth to where maybe if he wants to hold on, goes with even as I say it, I don't think he would want to go and play with another team. He played so long with one team. But looking at from the business side, from the Rangers standpoint, if you want to inflate his value to where you could possibly get some return, and then you have your good young starting goaltender and backup and Georgiev, that would be the way to go. And it might be the way that Pittsburgh goes too, where they might lean more Murray in terms of potentially moving him, whether that be, not in the expansion draft, but within a trade during that time period. And then your goaltender of the future is Jari. So it's going to be interesting to see which way both of these teams go in terms of the men between the pipes.
Yeah. Prism saying Rangers. Oh, sorry, Bri.
Go ahead.
Prism was saying Rangers in 5, saying with Henrique as a dark wing, said last week, but Rangers owe him one last run.
The Rangers do owe him one last run. He's done so much for that organization, like I said last week. He's got most of the franchise, if not all the franchise records. It's probably between him and Mike Richter. They got two really good young goaltenders in the pipeline.
I gotta stop you real quick, Brian. Trevor, I get your point. Igor is talented, but you want to roll with a rookie goaltender in the Stanley Cup playoffs or someone that's experienced. I know how bad King Henrique played at points during the season, but this is a new season now. It's been 4.5 months since they played hockey. I would like a fresh veteran goaltender that, has had wild success in the Stanley Cup playoffs, but has a lot of playoff games under his belt. Am I right or wrong, gentlemen?
No, that's absolutely where I was going to go with that. Is, playing in Russia, Igor had a goals against under 2. the kid's talented. There's no doubt about it. And it's not a question of talent. It's a question of, sometimes you owe it to your vets to give them one last run. And a guy who's been pretty much the face of the New York Rangers for how long?
Right.
His entire career, for the most part, right?
Right.
Oh, no, his entire career. He's never played on another team.
Entire career, yep.
So, you owe it to the guy. I mean, he's done so much for your organization, the fan base, the community. This team can play well in front of them, and they've played a hell of a lot better since that last the pretty much earlier in the year when they started off really, really slow. Like they won what 13 of the last 15 before the work stoppage. They were one of the hottest teams, maybe the hottest team next to the Flyers.
Right.
Going into the pause.
Right.
So that says a lot. They're healthy now. They're ready. I think they're ready to go. I didn't get to see their exhibition game against the Islanders, but you owe it to Henry for one more run. Worst case scenario, you go down 0-2, you switch to Prince Igor, or you go to Georgiev.
You don't even wait 0-2.
You owe him the chance.
You don't even wait. If Henrik Lundqvist has one bad game and they lose 0-1, until you're talking best of 5, Brian. You're talking best of 5. I think now if the Rangers go down 0-1, but Lundqvist had a good game, yeah, then he fires off. But if they lose like 5-2 because he just was, getting beat like a rented mule, yeah, you do need to make that change because to what you were just saying, Brian. Do you want to fuck up the chemistry that they had going into the playoffs? That supports Trevor's hypothesis and what you were saying. I'm just saying that you got to go with the experience, give him the first crack, but know that you either perform or we got guys that are talented and had a 2 goals against average in Russia.
I hate when you steal my rebuttals. I do. I hate it. Because I was going to come right back at you with, well, what if he has a good game and he loses? What if he has a bad game and he loses? Which way do you go? So the way I'm thinking about it is, my assumption is it's a close loss. You send him right back out there. You give him maybe half a period. Not half a period, half the game. If he doesn't look good, switch him out. You go down 0-2. Doesn't necessarily mean it's over. Like you said, it's a best of 5.
You can run it. You can run it 3 with your replacement there. That's a beautiful point, Brian, because you lose a close game and then you get beat in game 2. No matter how it works out, whether it was a close game or Lundqvist had a poor game, you still got to make the goalie situation because of the best, or make the change in the goal because of the best of 5 at that point, and know that you have talent to go there. It's not a bad problem to have.
And as far as Carolina goes on their side, their goaltending situation is suspect too.
Well, yeah, because they got
Mrazek. Mrazek isn't terrible, but he's not great. He's not going to set the world on fire.
Right.
And you're kind of in the same boat with the Rangers because Mrazek has experience in the postseason. Reimer, not so much. So you're kind of in the same.
Rocking Reimer. I can tell
you.
Well,
that's the point. You got to rock Mrazek because he also too has the experience and he's also the starter, whereas Reimer's the backup. But with that being said, though, who do you have winning? Did you have the Rangers winning, or do you have Carolina winning? I
have the Rangers winning. I like Carolina's offense. They're going to be led by Sebastian Aho. They got a lot of talent, especially with Andrei Svechnikov on the first line with Aho. And then you have Nino Niederreiter on the second line, who's going to, be a really good setup man for that line. The offense is there, and I think it's going to be a high-scoring series. I don't like the defense in Carolina. They have not done enough to prove to me that they can stay healthy. They traded for, I believe, an injured Brady Shea and an injured Sami Vatanen. I mean, that goes to tell you how much faith they have in their defense.
Mm-hmm.
So I got the Rangers this one in 4.
Rob, what did you have?
I think this is going to be a tight series. This is going to be a best of 5. Because I know Carolina gets disrespected, but they have, like I said, Jakob Slavin is probably the best defenseman you've never heard of, and they got good goal scorers. you add what's we call it on the defense. They added 2 pieces there that Brian was speaking of, and Sammy Vatanen, and I forget the other defender they got.
Brady Shea,
and I believe they got Vincent Trocheck. No.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. And another vet that has had a lot of rest. So it's going to go back and forth. But in the end, I love the young goal scoring on the Rangers. Fost is one of the fastest guys in the league. Excuse the pun. And, good top. And good young defenders. And Zuccarello, what can you say about him? I think he's a guy that could be like that Danny B type character and just score the clutch goals. We saw that during that 12-game run. So Rangers in 5.
Well, unfortunately, I got to correct you here, Robbie. Zuccarello is not in New York anymore. He's with Minnesota.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was talking Zibanejad. I said Zuccarello, okay. and I meant Zibanejad. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Those damn Z's.
Who you were talking about?
Yeah, Mr. 5 goals.
Yeah, Mr. 5 goals. I think he's going to be the difference maker, to be completely honest with you. Because like I said, you got 2 good offenses going up against each other. For me, I like the Rangers defense better. I like the Rangers defense way better. But, the goaltending is going to be what it really boils down to. And I think you got to give the edge to the Rangers, regardless if they go with Henrik or Igor or Georgiev.
Right. I just think it's going to be a closer series than people give it credit for.
I agree. I think this is going to be the series of the qualifiers. I think it's going to be the best series of the qualifiers.
So,
agreed.
With that, we have Rob going with Rangers. We have Bri going with the Rangers. Viva Las Vespi picking. Gotcha. Viva Las Vespi going with a bunch of jerks from New York. But he put a ... in.
They are a bunch of jerks.
And for me, if they're going to put Henrik Lundqvist in net and they're going to stick to him and they're not going to change goaltending, they lose the series. And Carolina wins in 5. However, if they do change goaltending, they will win the series. I'm going to go on the idea that they're going to let Lundqvist have his last run and they're going to keep him in net. They lose the series in 5. I think Lundqvist shows some heroics, and I think he really tries his heart out. But they stick with him in close games, and Carolina comes out on top because they stuck with him. Nothing wrong with it, but I see Carolina coming out on top if that's the case.
Matty going with his homer hat.
Not even that. I just think I think his best years are behind him, and that's why I go with it.
I mean, he's 37 years old?
But to be fair, though, what you were saying, though, Bri, it is a win-win scenario because if you lose in the first round, you get a shot at Alexis Lafreniere, so you really can't complain even if you get beat in the qualifiers.
Absolutely. Spot on. It really is a win-win for the Rangers because, like I was saying last week and like you just said, you win with Henrik Lundqvist, you're going to move on to the next round. You lose with Henrik Lundqvist, you're putting yourself in a position to get a really talented playmaker who could really make that franchise that much better. Ugh.
I know that sucks, right? Sucks to say that the Rangers would be really good with Alexis Lafreniere because they would be. Oh, I hope that does not happen.
I hope he drops. I wanted to drop the 6. Let's go. Shockers. Shock the world. Lafreniere to Anaheim. Let's go. I'm calling it now.
Rob, what were you going to say?
I just wanted to try to work this joke in real quick, but now it's overdone. Lundqvist might be an old man, but he's still a handsome devil.
That is true. That is
damn true. Man. He's got better quaff than Bryce Harper. Deal with it.
Listen, I don't disagree.
Let me put it to you this way. When they were doing that Road to the Winter Classic thing, and they were highlighting the Rangers and the Flyers, when my mom would watch those, she absolutely was fixated on Henrik Lundqvist. She could not get enough of Henrik Lundqvist.
Listen, he's a handsome dude. He is a handsome dude. I'll give him that.
Sexy.
Oh man! And the award
Look
for
at my sexy body.
Trevor saying that's fact. And the award for the hottest goaltender in the NHL, Henrik Lundqvist. Not by stats, just by pure looks. Moving on. All right.
Yes, please. Let's move on. I'm starting to get a little uncomfortable over here.
Get comfortable, baby. Ease up. Sit back and relax, baby. Centerfold like Martin Brodeur.
My God.
Oh my God.
It's George Costanza.
Yeah, no kidding. I'm his uglier cousin.
Oh.
All
right.
I can't believe he really just did that.
Yeah, he did.
That was pretty awesome.
That was.
That's going into the top hockey happy hour moments of all time.
I think that should. That should. All right. On to 7-10, folks. The New York Islanders. We go to the other New York team and the Florida Panthers. This is an intriguing series. Not because these two were the last two to face each other when they were in the postseason. Well, not the last time they were in the postseason, but the last time that Florida was in, it was these two. So there's an actually intriguing history to this. But it was a much different New York Islanders team. That was a New York Islanders team led by John Tavares. Now it's a New York Islanders team led by Matthew Barzal and coached by Barry Trotz. So it is a much different, much younger team with goaltending experience in Thomas Greiss. And Semyon Varlamov, who actually looked very good in the exhibition game. Cathedral Crick saying Rob Ipovia is as sexy as fuck. Just putting fire at the end there.
Yeah, it's a true story, man, because if Tony Soprano proved anything, it don't matter how you look. It's how much money and power and confidence you have as a man. So, and I got all three. So,
there you go.
I have none of the above.
I don't really have it, but I just picture it in my head and I just manifest it.
Hey, man.
That's some more than I got.
Hey, Rob, you fake it till you fucking make it, right? Yeah. Or, you fake it until she makes you, you know what. All right, let's move on.
Yeah, let's go. Let's definitely.
All right, so the New York Islanders and the Florida Panthers, blue and orange series we got going on here. This will be an intriguing matchup. I have the Islanders winning this. The reason why is I do not like Sergei Bobrovsky in Florida. What the fuck is going on with him? I think he got that contract. He's like, I don't give a shit. Like, it's Florida. Why put effort out there? Like, and if that's the case, I don't blame him. But at the same time, it's like, dude, don't you want to win a cup? Put some effort into this shit, just a little bit. But I would say, I think the Islanders too. I think that they will have better goaltending in Greiss. I think Bobrovsky just hasn't thrilled me at all as a Florida Panther. And on top of it too, the Panthers, Cathedral saying all four Pove, y'all have 5. Okay.
Looks like Boston's up to their old dirty tricks, tripping up their Columbus goaltender.
Well, that's always nice. Good to know nothing changes, even in an exhibition game. But the Islanders and the Panthers, I'm going to say Islanders win this in 5. I think the Panthers do have the ability to make this a series, but I still think they lose. I still think they tap out to the Islanders. And I think the pause really helps the Islanders here because they, too, were trending in the wrong direction. But I think they have a chance to take a step back, take a breather, and say, okay, recover, reload, recharge, go at it with the qualifiers. And I think they will, and I think they will beat Florida in 5.
Spot on, gentlemen. It's exactly how it's going to go down. This time off benefits the Islanders. They get healthier. They catch their breath because they were sucking wind and they were playing poor defense under a Brian Trotz system, which is kind of hard to do. Despite that, and their misgivings this season, the Islanders were 3-0 against the Florida Panthers, and the Panthers only scored 1 point for an overtime loss. I think this is a New York Islanders sweep. And I think it makes for an interesting contest in the second round.
Right.
You see, I'm not with you guys on this one.
You're going Panthers.
I think the Panthers squeak out the series in 5. I think it's coaching this is really going to come down. It's Joel Quenneville versus Barry Trotz, and I think it's a very intriguing matchup. Roscoe, you got everybody sweeping everybody.
Yeah,
Who's
but that's
sweeping.
That's the first accurate statement I've seen, though. That you're getting back on track. Getting back on track.
He got the Povia brownie points. And Cathedral Craig was saying, he's going with that. Prism saying 280. Matt, you know my best friend works for the Panthers. The hell, man, but I'm with you. Listen, I'm sorry,
here's the
dude.
thing.
They got Joe Quinville, but Bobrovsky decided not to come. I'm sorry. That's just how it is.
All right, I'm going to ask you a question. Who's in net for the Islanders?
Grice.
Semyon Varlamov?
Yeah.
Grice and Varlamov.
Semyon Varlamov.
But he looked good in his
Thomas
matchup.
Price is not going to be starting. But I will say this. Panthers have the better defense than the Islanders do. Do the Islanders have the better offense? Yes, some. But you know what? The Panthers have been the better team all year, despite how Bobrovsky's been playing.
I just don't think they have
to go to Joe Quinville.
I don't think they have an answer for Matthew Barzal. I don't, and I get Varlamov is garbage. He is a hot and cold mess. I think he's very similar to Devin Dubnyk in terms of that hot and cold, up and down, streaky type goaltender. But I think they have enough offense and quality. The Islanders do have quality defenders that can play this game to silence Florida, a team that was throwing in the towel. They traded away Vincent Trocheck, and honestly, they're one of the teams that, for the naysayers, doesn't deserve to be in the playoffs.
I don't necessarily agree with that, but here's the thing. The Islanders, they got Matthew Barzal, and he's a great player. I'm not even going to take that away. But if you look at the team that the Florida Panthers have, can't forget about Alexander Barkov, Jonathan Huberdeau, Dadonov. They still have really good players, second score on this team. The Florida Panthers aren't just going to lay down and die.
Oh, no, that's
Aaron Ekblad on that defense with Keith Yandel.
Well, that's why
there's leadership back
They're
there.
absolutely going to lay down and die. That's what they've done all season. What are you talking about?
No,
Florida does tend to do.
Well, Florida's one guy.
Well, Florida does trend to lay down and die often. They do it all the time in their history. It is kind of true.
Series between
That's
these
how
two?
they do.
Who won
Islanders.
the last series between these two?
The Islanders.
Right on that. I was
They won.
Just taking a shot in the dark.
In OT.
I was taking a shot in the dark on that one. I'll be honest. This Panthers team is better than that team. And I don't think the Islanders, outside of Barzal, who do they really have? They don't have the scoring depth.
But I don't
Florida has scoring depth.
But I see that's why I would say Florida fights hard, but I still think the Islanders take it in 5. To be fair, Joe Quinville may be the coach, but it hasn't really added up for them. Like with the talent they had, Joe Quinville should have molded them into something way better than they were in this regular season. They were not good in this regular season at all.
This series, it's one season under a brand new head coach. Here's
Josh
the thing.
Bailey and Jordan Eberle. I mean, Jordan Eberle, you can say what you want about him. I'm a huge Josh Bailey fan now.
Jordan Eberle isn't that guy he's been since Edmonton.
Yeah.
He's been good.
But Josh Bailey's a young, good goal scorer in this league. They got J.G. Pageau at the trade deadline. That's another good 20, 25 goal scorer. And their strength, their number one defensive pairing with Leddy and Boychuk is a strong top D pairing.
I mean, Pageau has done nothing since he went to New York.
Yeah.
He's been just maybe 3-4 points.
Nope.
I'll give you Johnny Boychuk. I like Johnny Boychuk on the blue line because he's a tough shutdown defenseman.
It was 4.5 months ago, though, man. This is the new season, and you're getting. I'm just saying they got that player. It was been known to do this. But you could be right, though, Ryan.
No, you're absolutely right.
I would not be surprised if Florida sweeps the Islanders because let's face it, anything from the island is garbage.
I'm not going
what was that movie? The King of Staten Island? That movie was garbage. That was garbage. I fell asleep on it. I tried to watch it 3 times, and I fell asleep. And I love Pete Davidson. I love Pete Davidson, and it's kind of his story, but that movie was garbage.
Don't tell me that. I want to see that movie. But no, I mean.
By the way, Bryce Blackwell says good points, by the way. I don't know who he's representing. Maybe he's representing everybody.
It's going both ways. But it's going to be an evenly matched series. No team is getting swept here. No team is getting swept here. But it's coming down to coaching. I'm telling you right now, it's going to come down to coaching because these are 2 Stanley Cup winning head coaches. It's going to be a chess match. Put all the other players aside. Special teams aside. But doesn't matter because you know what? It's coming down to coaching.
Dead pen rules, but I may get some Kraken gear. Their logo is dope. Nice. And yes, their logo is dope.
And credit to Brian for pointing out the Space Needle, man. That's fucking that sold me on it. I was sort of on the fence, and as soon as I realized it, I was like, this shit's dope.
Prism saying
that's great.
At David Roscoe, I'm always down for intercity/state rivalry, which is nice. It would be great to see the Islanders face the Rangers right now. Unfortunately, I don't think it'll happen this year. But don't worry, with the way the division's trending, you won't have to wait very long to see the Islanders and the Rangers match up in the playoffs. But with that being said, though,
Rangers would smoke them.
yeah, oh man, that would be crazy if that happened. Dude, the freaking Islanders fans, if they still exist, would absolutely lose their shit. But anyway, moving on. Vespi's
Speaking of which,
picking
Of
his
course he
dad's
does.
team, giving the Islanders.
Of course he does.
All right. Well, I think we were saying Carolina and New York being the series to watch. Maybe we're wrong. Maybe it's the Islanders and the Panthers that are, after this conversation, that may be the
I'm
one to
intrigued.
watch.
Listen, I'm intrigued by that series, but I'll tell you what. That Carolina Rangers series is going to be really good.
It is. That's going to be a very tight series. Some people may automatically be picking a winner, but I would pay attention. It may be a little bit closer than people realize. All right, on to 8 and 9, our final matchup, Toronto and Columbus. This is also an intriguing matchup because you have a team that will not die no matter how many times you stamp the fuck on them, and that is Columbus. With John Tortorella as their coach, he has been an absolute treat for them since he's taken over the head coaching position. I may not like the guy, but hey, man, results are speaking here, and Columbus just keeps on fighting, and they keep on being a threat.
You're preaching to the choir about it. You know my disdain for John Tortorella, but if anyone should, and I don't think he wasn't a finalist, right? He wasn't named a finalist
for the Jack Adams.
Yeah, because I only heard about AV. I didn't hear who the other finalists.
I think it was AV, Tortorella, and
it was Tortorella. If anyone wins it above AV, it's him. They traded away pieces. The pieces they had got all injured at once, and they were in playoff position. And for that reason alone, now that they're healthy, jumping ahead just so I can fire it back to you guys and turn over the mic, I'm going Columbus Blue Jackets here in this series.
Okay, then. Length?
I'm blanking on the third.
5.
Yeah, I'm not sure who the third one is on that Jack Adams, but
I'm blanking on it.
With that, Toronto and Columbus. Toronto not had a great season at all. For their standards, they were pretty bad. They were third place in the division, but only because the division is so weak. That's the only reason why they were third place in the Atlantic. If Florida had yeah. It was Cassie. Okay, got you. But with that being said, though, Toronto did not have a good year. They got called out by Mitch Marner saying that people need to step the fuck up. They got Mike Babcock fired because they were playing so badly. However, though, it did seem like it was the right move because they played better under their new coach. Overall, though, not a great year for Toronto, a regular season they'd like to forget. However, though, I'm going to go back to the pause because this may also benefit Toronto in this way as well, where they can take a step back and say, oh, shit, we had a bad year. But they can breathe. They can take a moment and sit back and say, okay, that was not a season to remember. But we have a chance to start new, start fresh, new coach, new system, new everything. Let's come out sharp. Let's come out strong. I could actually see Toronto taking this series. It'll be 5. Columbus will fight them. But I think Toronto can do it. If Freddie Anderson plays extremely well in net, if their offense plays absolutely the way their offense should play, scoring goals like nobody's business, they have a defense that can be shaky at times, but I think Toronto can take this series, and I think they do. I think they actually beat them in 5. I wouldn't sleep on Toronto. As much as Columbus has been absolutely strong and has played very well, even with the injuries they're getting back, Anderson is healthy. Yes, he is. I would say that, and they are letting a few young guys play. Yes, they are. I would say that Prism saying, I'm excited for the Chicago versus Edmonton. Chicago has Rep Captain Serious and does not fuck around when it's time to get down. Him and Kane will come up short, but they can flip a switch and raise hell. Oh, yeah, they absolutely can, Chicago.
Here's
absolutely.
Funny story. So, when I was mowing the lawn last week, I was listening to a podcast and I wound up having Andrew Shaw on there. And they're saying that, that Jonathan Toews isn't kept in serious as much anymore, that he's actually begun to lay back, enjoy the game, take it as it comes, smiling, laughing, and it's, we'll see what happens. But this Chicago's there's a couple intriguing series, but we'll get into that real quick after we break down the series.
Absolutely. So with Toronto and Columbus, I actually can see Toronto shocking everybody and coming out stronger than they were when they started the season, coming out of this pause. And I can see them winning the series in 5. It won't be easy. It'll be a bitter fight to the very end, but I think Toronto takes it at the end of the day.
I originally had Toronto. I like Toronto a little bit more, but the more I'm watching this Boston game, the more I'm watching the Blue Jackets. I think they take Toronto down. I really do. Obviously, you got Zach Werenski you got to worry about, but and Cam Atkinson. There's some good players on that team, but the one guy who seems to be stepping up, and he's got to step on Boston in this game with like 7 scoring chances to my count, is Pierre-Luc Dubois. And
Dubois.
He's been a guy they've been leaning on a little bit more lately, but I think Columbus has the speed over Toronto. I know it's crazy to say, but and obviously we know they're the better defensive team. And despite losing Sergei Bobrovsky, Matt Duchene, Artemi Panarin, this team is still kicking.
Right.
They took these 3, and they're not even like they're minuscule. Like these are 3 huge losses to the lineup, and they're still competing, and they're still in playoff position, and they got something to prove. And they bring in Jonas Corposalo, let him take over the reins, and he's been playing great in that, and so is the backup. I'm not even going to try to say his list, and we're just going to call him Elvis.
Merzlikins.
Merzlikins. Okay. He's been playing great too. So they've been getting good goaltending from both guys. So this Columbus team is scary. This Columbus team is going to compete. And I think once again, you see them upset a top-seeded team.
All right.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying too. And no disrespect to Toronto. They're hosting this, and it's hard to pick against the host team that's going to obviously know this rink, the best out of all the teams and know how the puck bounces off the dashers. But Brian brings up all the good points that I was highlighting earlier. Just Columbus is in a better situation. But what I'll say is this show is now turned into a 3-beer show. I'm drinking I picked up some Molson Ice in honor of Toronto and the Maple Leafs. So cheers, boys.
Cheers. I got agua.
Okay.
This is
here's
it's
the
an
thing.
intriguing series.
I'm going to say this too. I will say Columbus is not the only team with something to prove, though. Toronto has something to prove too. And the reason why, because they're the Boston-owned and operated Toronto Maple Leafs. They've never gotten out of the first round with Austin Matthews. They've never done shit in the playoffs since they seem to have come out of nowhere as this rebirth franchise. They got something to prove too. They need to get their shit together now because Toronto, they're starting to get real impatient with the fact that this team can't get out of the first round. Is that all the fault of the team? No, the franchise hasn't addressed some issues at times, and I will say that. But at the same time, they also have to sign back all the talent in Mitch Marner, Austin Matthews. That's a tough situation to deal with. But I will say this, with both teams with something to prove, this will be a fight between both sides. This will not be a quick series. Prism, though, he had Toronto in 4 winning this series.
I'm not that sold on Toronto because, they're great on paper. Look at all the talent they have. Mitch Marner, William Nylander, Jonathan Tavares, Austin Matthews, Morgan Riley, Freddie Mitchell. They don't know how to put it together. I think they have too many egos in one locker room. And I think that plays a huge factor into why they haven't had the success that they've had. Because we know there's, 3, maybe 4 40 goal scorers on the lineup?
I'm sorry. Craig said I'm 9 hoagies in. I got you beat, Bo. And by the way, he picked Columbus in 5.
He's one of my boys.
And Prism saying Toronto wouldn't be Toronto if they didn't lose those. They've taken their time cultivating this new tradition. Yeah, they have. They have.
I mean, seriously, look at the roster. It's a roster that's built to win multiple Stanley Cups. They can't get out of the first round. So obviously it's maybe not necessarily a coaching issue. It's a locker room issue. It's too many egos for me. And you got, like I was saying, you got 4 or 5 40-goal scorers on one team. How are you going to spread out the puck that way? It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, true. I mean, here's the thing, though. We'll know for a fact, though, if it's really a locker room issue if they do lose this series. If they lose this series after the year they've had with a new coach and everything, and even if they go into the next season and they wind up going into the playoffs and losing again, it's a perfect example of, okay, yeah, this is definitely a locker room problem. And then that theory would be 110% proven true, because that's now 2 coaches, 2 regimes, 2 systems, and you guys can't do shit with it. There's a problem.
Don't be surprised if you see a big name traded in the next year or 2 out of Toronto. Out of Toronto. There's too much talent on the team to be not have won a Stanley Cup last year, not to be a top seed, not to be competing in the round robin tournament. I mean, a name I also forgot was Kasperi Kapanen. He's a 25-goal scorer. He's another good player. There's too much talent for Toronto to be where they are, and the fact that I got Toronto losing the series. There is too many egos, and it doesn't play a good part. They're not playing for each other; they're playing for themselves. A bunch of selfish players on that team. I'm calling it right now.
Yeah, well said.
All right, then. So, gentlemen,
Freddie Anderson is really taking a step back. He really has. He's taken a couple steps back since leaving Anaheim.
Wow, that's so cool. I just seeded my picks, and in each league, I have 5, 7, 9, 11.
Nice. Nice.
Totally unplanned.
All right, gentlemen. So now that we got that out of the way, we've done our qualifiers, we've done our seeds. We'll do a quick run through. Viva Las Vespi picks. Go back to Winnipeg. I'm from Toronto, you idiot. Give me the Leafs. So he's going Toronto. All right. With that, now have
Tavares Truther.
I love the fact that you know what? While we're still live, we should make a bet. Stipulations, I'm not sure, but we should make a bet.
We gotta.
All right, so since I got Columbus and Rob, you picked Toronto too, right?
No, he picked Columbus.
All right, well, never mind then. We'll make the one bet.
Oh my god, that's great.
Because he's using his brain on the Toronto issue. Since I'm the only one picking Florida, and I'll figure out the stipulations for next week's show, we should make a bet that if that on that Toronto or Florida series. What do you think? We'll do it.
I like it. I usually don't agree to a bet unless I know the stipulations, but I'm in. I have a suggestion. Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm just confused. Like, I kind of want to know what kind of stipulations are we talking here, because we kind of got to know.
We'll figure it out.
My suggestion: you got to do the show shirtless. Skins. That could be embarrassing.
Listen, we don't have enough. We don't have enough ladies.
Loser just a show and drag.
That could be interesting.
You know what? Let's hear what some of the other, what like Craig and Prism and all them have to say.
Yeah,
you guys come up with some stipulations for us.
Leave it up to the family. I love you.
Yeah, that's the proper way to do it here at A2D. Leave it up to you, good folks out there, to come up with some kind of torture device for us to bet on. All right, let's see here.
As long as it doesn't involve any of us throwing up, I don't mind being embarrassed. I don't mind any of that other shit. If it comes to vomit, nope, I'm not in. Anything other than that, I'll take an embarrassment.
So while everybody gets to be Jigsaw from Saw, while they contemplate their thoughts on how to torture us, let us begin with our quick rundown here. We're not going to go into detail. We're just going to run through how we see our playoff brackets playing out here. We'll go into more detail when the quarterfinals begin and when we'll actually be able to do our bracket challenges, because that's going to happen. I've tried staving off it, but I won't be able to resist it. Craig saying, do the whole show high. That's
Not
a
really
good
much of a
one.
challenge, right?
Not much of a challenge.
Done and done.
Okay, so let's go here. Quarterfinal matchups. I'll go first here on my rundown. In my Western side, the way that I had it shaken out with my qualifiers, my matchups were 1v9, Colorado versus Calgary. I have Colorado winning that series in. Wait a minute. Did I have that wrong? I think I did have that wrong. I did. Winnipeg. I meant Winnipeg and Winnipeg and Colorado. My bad. Winnipeg and Colorado. I see Colorado taking that one, but it will take it in 7. On to the next matchup. 2-7, St. Louis versus Vancouver. I got St. Louis winning that one, but I think Vancouver puts up one hell of a fight, and I think it's memorable. It goes 7. 3-6, Dallas and Nashville. I see Dallas winning against Nashville in 6. Vegas versus Edmonton. I actually have Edmonton taking this one. I would say Edmonton beats Vegas, and they do it in 7. We move on. Semifinal matchups. Colorado versus Edmonton. I would have Colorado winning that one in 6, and St. Louis against Dallas. Dallas beats them in 7. In the conference final, Colorado versus St. Louis. Colorado wins that one in 7 and goes to the Stanley Cup Finals. And now to the East. Quarterfinal matchup, Tampa Bay versus Toronto. I see Toronto fighting, but they lose it in 6 to the Tampa Bay Lightning. Philadelphia versus the Islanders. It's going to be a very tough battle for us, but I actually see the Flyers winning in 7 games. It will not be easy, though. Next up, Boston versus Carolina. I got Boston defeating the Carolina Hurricanes in 6. And then Washington versus Pittsburgh. Washington loses this series. We go back to the old ways of tradition, and the tradition of Washington losing to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh beats them in 6. On to the semifinals. And we've got Tampa Bay versus Pittsburgh, another old-fashioned rivalry, just not in the Eastern Conference Finals. Pittsburgh loses this matchup in 6 to Tampa Bay. Philadelphia up against Boston. Tight 7-game fight to the very end, but the Flyers, I say that they pull off a big win against Boston. But we do it in a 3-2 comeback. Not a 3-0, but a 3-2 comeback. I think Boston does take the lead in the series on us at some point. But we come back and we win it 4-3. Conference Finals, Tampa Bay versus Philly. Unfortunately, as I'm saying, loser talks to Leslie Joyce a full episode.
Who's Leslie Joyce? I don't know.
If that's Leslie Jones, I'm cool with that.
And now we go to my Eastern Conference Finals. This is where I see Philly tapping out. It's a 7-game loss. We fight hard, we fight well, but I don't think we get by Tampa. I think Tampa still finishes the job on us. Now, Stanley Cup Finals, I will continue to follow the trend that because Tampa is not considered to be, many people will laugh at them and they're not buying into their hype. Tampa wins. They actually win the cup this time around, and they win it in 6 against Colorado. That's my playoff run-through. It'll probably be dead fucking wrong, but we'll wait till the quarterfinals to find that out. Rob, Brian, who wants to go?
You're not going to be wrong because the finals are going to be Tampa Bay and Colorado. We've said it from the beginning, and it's going to happen. It's the 2 best teams. That's what would be interesting for hockey. Unless, you get some bigger markets in on that would be cool too. But if you're going about the true nature of the sport, this is the finals that I would want to see. And I would definitely have Tampa on top. So let's see how we would get there. All right. In the East, I have 5th seed Pittsburgh moving on, 7th seed New York Islanders, 9th seed Columbus Blue Jackets, and 11th seed New York Rangers. So what that would equate to is a 1 versus 11, Tampa versus New York Rangers. Interesting series, not to filibuster too much. Tampa has more talent, and Rangers, it's a hell of an accomplishment to qualify into the first round of the playoffs. Based on how their season started off. So still a great moral victory for them in the moving on in the future. Now we have 2 versus 9, which would be Flyers, Columbus Blue Jackets. Love it. Love it because I got up to see my Flyers beat down on Tortorella, and now I get to bring my hate back for Tortorella. It goes full circle, and I think in the end they're healthier, but those missing pieces cost them. And the Flyers are 4 lines deep. The additions of Nate Thompson and especially Derek Grant. I think Derek Grant is going to be one of the best players on the Philadelphia Flyers in this year's playoffs. Thank you, Anaheim. Thank you, Ducks Nation. Thank you, B. Dales.
You're welcome.
All right.
We're going to take him back at next year, though. So
that's cool. It's sort of a rented player based on, you want to clear room for guys, your man crush Morgan Frost to move his way up full time as well as Joel Farabee.
I'll take Silverberg. I'll take Silverberg off your hands.
No.
Why? It's a good trade. Derek Grant for Silverberg?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, Gibby. No, we don't need him.
I don't know what you're sipping in that water, but you may want to put some actual water in there.
Oh, I don't know. It's too good. All right, Rob, what else you got?
All right. Next, we got up 3 versus 7. Boston Bruins, New York Islanders, Boston Bruins sweep next. 4 versus 5. Tampa Bay. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Washington, Pittsburgh. Yeah, again, it works out just like in your scenario, Maddie. Washington, Pittsburgh, classic battle. But this time, Washington is the defending champs and not Pittsburgh in past years. And I think they bring in that confidence. And Ovechkin, who's been just more and more a leader on this squad, and Washington wins this series. And I will say they will win it in it'll be a 6-game series.
Okay.
So they would win it on what would be home ice.
All right. Interesting.
Yes. So
hope that happens.
Yes. So pretty boring. I'm going with all the top 4 seeds winning in the East, it looks like. Right? Yeah, because I have Boston beating Islanders and obviously Flyers beating Blue Jackets and Tampa beating the Rangers. So over to the East, we got my number 1 seed was St. Louis Blues. They'll be taking on my upset of the qualifiers, the Arizona Coyotes. I guess Phil Kessel and Taylor Hall by now will stop playing, and St. Louis will sweep that series.
Thanks for showing up. We'll see you next year.
Yes. Yeah, it was a good qualifiers. Enjoy potential Lafreniere sweepstakes. Peace. Number 2 seed Colorado versus the Winnipeg Jets. I talked about him before how big of a Jets fan I am. Who's really got me on board with the Jets is the Canadian. You know this well. He's a legendary Winnipeg Jets fan. So I just don't think they have enough to beat Colorado. I've said it before. I think Colorado is the strongest team in the West, despite being the 2 seed due to the round robin. So Colorado moves on there. Number 3 seed, Vegas Golden Knights versus Vancouver. This may be one of those, no, not maybe, will be one of those marquee matchups of the Stanley Cup playoffs, should my projections work out. In this case, I'm going with the upset. Vancouver beat the Vegas Golden Knights. And I'm doing it purely because this team has a good chemistry, and Boser may not like it, but being on the second line is going to result in him netting a lot of goals. I think don't get me wrong. Fleury he's a Hall of Famer. He is a great goaltender. And he's in the twilight. And the pause will, benefit an aging player, but it may need a little more time to build up that momentum, that juju that you really get going down the stretch, completing those last 10 games as you move in the playoffs. Without that, with only a camp, an exhibition, and a round robin, may not be enough. And I think Vancouver trumps them in an upset. I just want to be a little contrarian there and not go with 1, 2, 3, 4, I think.
I got you.
Next up, Dallas Edmonton. And man, this is a tough call for me because these are both underachieving teams. And, we talked about Dallas's potential woes on the offensive side of the puck with Sagan. In the end, I can't go against Dallas. Number 4 seed wins.
All right.
No logic necessary. I just said so. Moving on.
I can dig it.
We'll continue in the West. 1 versus 7. St. Louis, Vancouver. St. Louis wins. Colorado, Dallas. Colorado wins. Then it comes down to number 1 versus 2. Colorado, St. Louis. This time, Colorado avenges that loss in the round robin because that's how sports works. And Colorado punches their ticket for the Stanley Cup Finals, as I mentioned earlier, to face Tampa Bay. So let's see how Tampa Bay is going to get there. Tampa Bay is going to be beating Washington 1 versus 4. Flyers, Boston in the same scenario. Flyers in 5, motherfuckers.
Wow, you have us just shitting all over them. Woo.
Such a great vibe, because the one concern we had as Flyers fans is we were going to lose that momentum that we had during that winning streak. And man, they were the same freaking team from what I've seen on tape from the camps and practice, from what I saw in that Pittsburgh exhibition game, rolling 4 lines strong. And did you see that pass to Lawton in overtime? What a
dangle.
Yes. And what a strategic play drawn up by this coaching staff. That's the feather in the cap of this Philadelphia Flyers team. We have 3 head coaches, but no power struggle. There's a clear guy at the top, but everybody uses their experience. At Boston, you stand no fucking chance. Go fuck yourselves. Go eat the cream.
Are you just trying to do and you're watching Disney Channel thing?
Yeah.
I'm watching the Padres and the Giants. I'm listening to Rob. I'm with them for the most part.
Oh, dude. We multitask on the show. We answer comments, freaking. We're checking out the latest news. You broke the Trout news, man. I'm gonna have to freaking get him out of my fantasy lineup because he his season might be done, or maybe he comes back in September now because he's gonna be gone for a while.
I think he'll be back. I think he'll be back in like a week or 2.
You think he'll only take?
Yeah, I think he just takes a little bit of time.
Gotcha.
He said he's in, so he wants to play this year. So. Hopefully. I mean, Angels really need him. But,
Prism saying, Rob, you startled me. All right, then. So, hold on. Rob, did you finish your Eastern Conference side of the bracket?
I wish I did, because now I got to get to the bad news for Flyers fans.
Here it comes.
I want to believe, and you best believe, when it's Flyers Tampa Bay, you're going to be seeing that crushed Tampa shirt on me 24/7. Best believe. And can the Flyers beat the Lightning in the playoffs? Yes, they can. Yes, they can, because it's a new season. Yes, they dominated us in the regular season. But even in normal circumstances, playoffs are a new season. This takes on a whole nother level. In the end, I can't do it. Tampa Bay just has too much good goal scoring, too many good defenders, and Andrei Vasilevsky. Would I be shocked? Will I be rooting for the Flyers to move on? Because I tell you this right now. Mark my fucking words. Record this, Frank. If Flyers beat the Tampa Bay Lightning in the Eastern Conference Finals, we're partying on Broad Street. I don't give a fuck with quarantine.
Thank
and
God.
I love Colorado, and you guys know I love Colorado. But if they're able to beat them, the experience, both on the ice and off the ice, will beat a younger Colorado team. As better as Colorado is than the Flyers, as better as Tampa Bay is than the Flyers can catch that wind and defeat the odds. It's happened in sports. I'm not predicting it, but I'm hoping for it. I'm rooting for it.
Gotcha. So you have your Avs Tampa final. Tampa or Avs?
Yeah, I want to pick Avs since you picked Tampa Bay, but I got to go with the bracket. Remember the bracket that I made for that show?
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, and I have the big old lightning bolt in the middle of the Stanley Cup trophy. I'm looking at it right now. So I pride myself on being a flip-flopper, even if I'm wrong. Tampa Bay Lightning. Too bad Nicole doesn't join us anymore because she would be applauding us right now.
Yeah,
she's around. Don't worry.
Yeah, I was thinking.
No, I'm not saying she fell out of flavor. Just I mean, like I haven't seen her been tuning in past couple weeks. That's all. She would be enjoying this conversation right now. We want you back, Nicole. Come back to the madness. Come back to the happy hour.
We need our statistician back. We really do need our statistician back. We can only do so much, all three of us. So we love you, Nicole. And hi.
Me and her have become really good friends, and she's just going through a rough time right now. She'll be back.
Well, you know what? We support you, Nicole. Hopefully, when you see this, you hear that. We love you. We support you. Stay strong. Hey, and hopefully we'll see you chiming in soon.
What radio show or YouTube show do you listen to where the hosts talk about you, the fans, like your family, like you're one of us right here on the couch, right on the couch here with the Pogue, right? This is the best thing about A2D Radio. It's intimate sports talk. It's real fucking talk. I love it, man. I love being here. This is fucking awesome. I'm a little passionate right now. It's beautiful. It's August playoff hockey. Fucking crack it like Will Ferrell. Let's go.
Does
it's Rosca though. Come on, you really can't be that surprised.
Montreal.
What? I haven't seen that in a while. Good one, Frank. Good one. That was a good one.
Hey, have you ever considered that comments can be a straight man way of just getting a laugh? Like maybe he's joking around. I don't think he's serious with these comments.
Maybe not. But you never know. Maybe Carey Price, he does a Patrick Waugh and he takes a team to the stands.
Rosca, let me tell you this, Rosca. If it works out to be Arizona, Montreal, hockey will fall to 6th in the United States. Forget about Major 4. MLS will pass hockey.
NASCAR will pass
NASCAR might have already passed hockey, dude.
If I have to take down this Flyers, dude. It's bad enough. If I got to take down this Capitals jersey and this Flyers jersey before I take down this Coyotes one, I'm going to flip shit. I really am going to flip shit. That will be – I'm expected to take this fucker down in the qualifier, and this fucker will last longer? No way. No fucking way. I will lose my mind. But anyway.
Frank, put up that Daniel comment, man. That's a good comment from Daniel Bakley.
Okay, what's that? Here's something no one is talking about. What if Lane can get back to his form from 2 years ago? Then I like the Jets as a sleeper to make the Stanley Cup Finals. Now, that is not a bad idea to say because think about it. The Jets are in the same boat as Tampa and where Washington and St. Louis was, where a lot of people were saying this is the Jets' year. The Jets are going to go there, and they haven't. They've perennially underachieved. They're in the same boat. So they could be a sleeper team, and when you're a sleeper team, you're dangerous. Washington was a sleeper team the year they won, so was St. Louis.
Correct.
And Rosca saying, I am dead serious. Arizona versus Montreal, Stanley Cup Finals, I am dead serious.
I'm done with you, Rosca. I'm done defending you.
I pray to God I do not have to take down the Flyers and Caps jersey before this Phoenix one.
Hang on.
Before you get into your bracket, okay, go ahead.
Hang on. How in the hell do you think a sub 500 team is getting to the Stanley Cup Finals? Beating Pittsburgh, Tampa Bay, Boston, whatever path they take. Montreal is going to be lucky to win 2 games in this entire series. Montreal is going to be lucky to win a period. I know that goes against what I just said, but even still. Montreal has no shot in hell whatsoever to beat Pittsburgh. And even if they do slide past Pittsburgh somehow, they're not getting past Tampa Bay. They don't not only have the offensive firepower to compete, they don't have the defensive firepower to keep the puck out of their net because Tampa Bay has so many weapons. Carey Price, he hasn't been Carey Price in a couple years. He's still putting up solid numbers, but he's not putting up Carey Price numbers. He's not a Vezina Trophy winner anymore. Come on, Dave. Come on, man. Arizona might be able to go on a run because they actually have somewhat of a decent team. But Montreal, they're sub 500. They're sub 500 for a reason. And I'm done.
All right. Bracket time. What you got?
All right, my bracket. Forgive the chicken scratch, but work with me here. Work with me.
I'm saluting you, Brian.
Rob, you look like you should be on Trailer Park Boys.
My man. My man.
I'm double lettering. I never do this. Huh?
I'm not hating on you, Dave. I'm hating on your pick. Because Montreal has no shot in hell of getting out of the qualifying round. I'm sorry. And like I said, even if they do, they're probably going to have to play Tampa Bay. And it just doesn't look good.
Hey, I said that anything was possible if Carey Price played like Carey Price of old. And the last time we saw him, he gave up 4 goals on 23 shots.
It's not
against who did they play? They played Toronto, Montreal.
Toronto. Yep.
The other day in the exhibition, Toronto.
One time, I mean, like I said, I have Columbus beating them, but they're a talented team. They got a lot. Like I'm a big fan of William Nylander. I picked him for my team. Yep. You know what I mean? They have good goal scoring depth, but
it's just Montreal's just not. They're not a good team.
No.
Any team can go on a run, yeah, absolutely. But Montreal,
they're rebuilding. They have a bunch of blue collar guys. They're the rightful owners of Alexis Lafreniere. It's just a match made in heaven. A French Canadian player to play right in Montreal. You know, we're talking about a face for this league coming out of Montreal.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you want to get technical, Detroit's the rightful owner because they are the worst team in hockey. But Montreal will probably get the number one overall pick because they're not against Pittsburgh.
Yeah, Detroit's out of it because they got their pick. So yeah,
they got number 4. They got.
So you'd have to say Montreal is the worst of who could win the number 1 pick.
Absolutely,
right.
Hands down.
It's Chicago just because of K's and team puts them ahead.
Dude,
well, yeah, not just that. I mean, like if we're talking record-wise, Montreal is the only sub 500 team in the playoffs. Everybody else is a game or two above.
Right.
Yeah, and Daniel's saying teams are lucky the COVID stopped the league when it did, since the Flyers were 9-1 in their last 10 games before the stoppage.
Yeah.
They were Flyers,
and they look like
they
picked it right where they left off to, which is a good thing. All right, so to my bracket.
Sure.
Oh, since we keep getting distracted, the right bracket. All right, so I got. All right, so we'll start in the West. I got Edmonton and Colorado. I got Colorado winning that one. Nashville versus St. Louis because I think they're doing straight across. I don't think they're reseeding yet.
No, they're not.
But we'll see. Then I got Nashville and St. Louis. I got Nashville pulling an upset because you need an upset. You need one.
I like that. If Nashville does move on, I wouldn't be surprised because Nashville matches up well against St. Louis. There's few teams that do. Flyers being one of them.
Absolutely, and they're a good defensive team, and they're riding a really good young goaltender. Same with St. Louis, who, Binghamton didn't look good in the exhibition game, but it's an exhibition game; it doesn't really matter. I have Vancouver versus Vegas. I have Vegas beating Vancouver in an upset because I love Vancouver. I think they're going to be a good team. To me, it's an upset, but Vegas is the better team. They deserve it. I have Winnipeg versus Dallas. I have Winnipeg upsetting Dallas because why not?
Okay.
I have all right. Let's see here. Colorado versus Nashville. I have Colorado upsetting Nashville and kind of putting their little Cinderella story to rest. In the Western Conference Finals, I have the Colorado Avalanche versus the Vegas Golden Knights. Vegas Golden Knights, once again, in their 4th year of existence, make the Western Conference Finals for a third time.
Damn!
Just to pour more salt into the wounds of the other Western Conference teams.
Yup. And I have Colorado beating Vegas. I think that one will go 7.
Okay.
In the East, I have Tampa Bay versus Pittsburgh. Tampa Bay beating Pittsburgh. Flyers Rangers, which I think would be a really entertaining second-round matchup.
That would
Besides any Flyer series, my favorite series would be watching Tampa Bay totally dismantle Pittsburgh Penguins. Continue.
Understand. Philly Rangers, I think this would be a really intriguing series because it's at the pause, the two top hottest teams in hockey at the time. I have the Flyers beating the Rangers. I'm not going into games yet because we don't know what the matchups are going to be. So,
Man, I hope you're right because in that previous playoff bracket, my bracket worked out to be Flyers Rangers, and you'd love to see that. That's good. That's good for the area, but that's good for the whole league, right, Brian?
yeah, no, absolutely. Daniel saying Rangers, Oilers, Panthers, Penguins, Jets, Canucks, Predators, and Maple Leafs all win qualifying, and that's pretty much that's my bracket right there. To a T, actually. I'm the only one who picked Florida. The only smart one. Just kidding. I love you guys.
Go fuck yourself. Kidding.
It's okay. You don't love me anymore. It's fine.
Well, it's all right. We'll let the pros stick to the chirping on the ice.
Next round, I have Florida versus Boston. I got Boston beating Florida. I have the Capitals versus the Blue Jackets. And I have Columbus going on.
That is, yeah, I could see that happening if Columbus faced Washington.
So in the quarterfinal or the semifinals. Yeah, semifinals. This whole thing's got me thrown off. I have Columbus versus Boston, which I have Boston moving on. And then I have Philly versus Tampa, which, despite what you guys are saying, I have Philly beating Tampa Bay. And
Nice.
Here's why. Listen. Yeah. Flyers might be, 0-2-1 against Tampa Bay over the season?
About that, yeah.
To Rob's point, yeah, it's a new season. But if you watch those games, they were very, very close competitive games, especially the 1-0 loss in Philadelphia. That was a great game, and I think that was a foreshadow to what we're going to see in the playoffs should these two teams meet up. They had a really bad first period in Tampa, but they managed to climb back and make it either wound up being a 1 or 2 goal loss. But they wound up going down like 5-2 or something like that into the third. Wound up losing like 6-4, 6-5, something like that. But Flyers are always in it when they're playing Tampa for some reason. Doesn't matter. They're always in it. And I think Flyers managed to pull a couple, let's say a couple overtime wins just to steal a couple from Tampa. You wind up winning that series. So
Okay.
I have a very entertaining Eastern Conference Finals between the Flyers and the Bruins, who the Flyers also have played very well against the Boston Bruins all season long, which I believe they're 3-0-1.
True.
I lied. 2-1-1.
2-1-1, yeah.
Oh, you got it up.
2-1-1.
I had the screen up before. If you go, Hockey Resources is just so great. It had the big bracket where you can go to any team cross-reference and see their series schedule.
Nice.
And
Awesome.
no other site had it. They should pay me money now.
Pay us money, not you. Don't get greedy.
Sorry, that was a selfish comment. Jeez, I'll put myself on mute for a minute.
And I have the Flyers beating up on the Boston Bruins. I shouldn't say beating up. I think it's going to wound up being like a 6-7 game Eastern Conference Finals. But I do have the Philadelphia Flyers going forward on this to the Stanley Cup Final, playing the Colorado Avalanche.
Okay, then.
And I will say this, Flyers fans, Colorado beats them.
I knew the kick in the nuts was coming at some point. I was just waiting for it.
No. I'm kicking them in the nuts. They're not kicking me. I'm kicking them.
Yeah, but that's our kick in the nuts alert. It's just
But that's kicking me. That's not me. I'm saying it.
But that's our alert. We can't change the alert. It's stuck that way. Pretend it's the other one from Frank.
I don't know who's worse. Bretta or Frank, you're all going at me. Screw you guys. I'm going home.
Oh, all right. So with
Oh,
that,
wait. I'm already there.
yeah, we're all technically at our homes. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, that will conclude our very early prediction of the quarterfinals through the Stanley Cup Finals. In the end, I had the
of not talking
in the
as I
end.
interrupt again, and another one, and another one.
You're waiting. I was gonna
Don't
say
give up.
So with
Mighty circles.
Don't give up, Kevin.
So with that, though, folks, I had Tampa winning, ending their cup drought since 2004. Rob, he also picked the Tampa Bay Lightning to end their cup drought from 2004. Meanwhile, Mr. Daly has the Colorado Avalanche ending their cup drought from 2001. So there we go. Not long cup droughts that would be ended in those scenarios by any stretch of the imagination. But it would be definitely fitting as they are both the absolute dominant teams from their respective conferences. Yes, Rob.
Really quickly, man, before we wrap up, I looked at the schedule, and
Sure.
this is our Saturday welcoming back to not only hockey, but playoff hockey. It starts off at noon Eastern with Rangers at Carolina. Then 3 p.m. is Chicago, Edmonton. 4 p.m. is Florida, New York Islanders. 8 p.m. is Montreal, Pittsburgh. And 10:30 is Winnipeg, Calgary. Let's fucking go.
That's right. And
Flyers,
Sunday.
Boston, 3 p.m. Yep. Oh, sorry. I did it to you now. But shut up, Rob. Stop talking.
Oh, that's great. But yes, like Rob
Somebody
was
mute
going
his
to
ass.
say, like Rob was going to say, the Flyers are playing on Sunday to face the Boston Bruins at 3. They'll be facing them. That should be an interesting contest to see where the round robin begins for Philly and Boston. But that's Sunday.
I'm going to say this. I like the way things have worked out, and I think it was meant to work out because all next week I'm on vacation. I'll be down the shore. If I'm not sitting on the beach, I'm going to be sitting in front of the TV watching playoff hockey.
There you go. That's the way to do it. That's the way.
I got to try and get my nieces and nephews into it. At least my nephews. My nieces, I could, take or leave. My nephews need to be in the hockey.
That's all right. It's all right. Obviously, you're going to try and slowly edge them towards the Ducks, obviously.
But I don't care who they root for. I just want them to watch hockey.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. Hey, that's important. Spread hockey. Hockey is the shit. Always spread it to the next generation. So with that being said, though, folks, that'll do it for this edition of the Hockey Happy Hour. We thank you all for joining us once again. Next week will be interesting because we will actually have games to break down because the playoffs will officially begin. And we will have lots and lots to talk about as we will be 4 days deep, I believe, into the playoffs by that time. So, yeah, that's going to be a lot to go through. And we'll see. Maybe one of these jerseys will come down before our next show. We'll see. With that being said, though, folks, we thank you for joining us. I am Matt Sassuti, the Darkwing Brian Daly.
Yep.
And the Broken One, Mr. Rob Povia. Did you find Gritty this week? And we are brought to you by not just Specialized Physical Therapy. We are also brought to you by Ambuck Services. Listen, man, with the lockdown slowly starting to edge down, some states are going back into it. But New Jersey, they're still hovering at stage 2. We may get stage 3, possibly, as long as everybody keeps up the good work, right? With that being said, though, once you can start having a few get-togethers, nothing crazy, a few people over. You want your lawn to look nice, right? Want those bushes trimmed, trees trimmed, gutters clean. All you got to do is mow the lawn. You want that nice deck? All you got to do is go to Ambuck Services. And you can give them a call at 856-879-5530. Make your neighbors want what you got. Ambuck Services. They'll make sure you have the deck, the gutter, the trees, the bushes, all that taken care of. Like I said, all you got to do is rev up that motor and let the lawnmower take care of business. That's all you got to do. With that, folks, we thank you for joining us. We will see you next week with our first official beginning of the Stanley Cup Playoffs. We thank everybody for chiming in, and we'll see you then. Until then, guys, stay safe, stay healthy, wear your mask. Wear your mask, and take care of yourselves out there, everyone. Peace and love. Stay healthy.